Hey everyone, it's Jeremy over at CareTech. Today, we're going to be talking about engine bay basics. We're working on a 2011 Ford Ranger, and what we're going to be doing today is a proper engine bay cleaning. But before we do that, we have to do a proper inspection of the engine bay. First and foremost, make sure that your engine is cool to the touch, and please don't ever run the engine while you're actually cleaning the engine bay. And also, you don't want to force water where it doesn't belong. So as we're inspecting the engine bay, I'm just making sure that I'm covering all my delicate components. You can go as little or as in-depth as you want to go on this. But while I'm walking around this engine bay, I'm walking around from different angles. I'm looking for frayed wires. I'm looking for missing trim pieces or loose trim pieces. I'm making sure that things are fairly tight in this. Since this is an older vehicle, I want to do my due diligence and make sure that I'm giving everything that I can to reduce my liability. So once I properly inspect, everything looks good to go. Okay, I'm always going to start from the top and work my way to the bottom. So the one thing that we want to do is when we're spraying the engine bay, we're not just going to focus on the engine bay. What we want to do is we want to pre-rinse the whole front clip of the vehicle, including the top of the hood as well. And what that's going to do is going to allow the surface to cool down a little bit more for us before we apply our chemistry. And in the event that any chemistry does get on these surfaces, it's going to provide a little bit of a barrier, especially when you're mobile or out in the elements. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm always going to start from top and work my way to the bottom. All right. I like to use a soft bristle brush, obviously on the painted surfaces. That way it reduces the likelihood of scratching. So basically what you want to do is you want to agitate. You don't want to just spray your chemical on there, let it sit and dwell and then rinse off, right? Because any chemical actually needs some sort of agitation to break up a lot of the loose dirt and grime. And that's what we're doing here. I want to pay special attention as to not get this heat shield very wet. Because what it can do, it can actually oversaturate this and cause this to sag, which can actually in turn separate from the hood, and we don't want that. The biggest thing you want to remember when you're agitating in the hood is just be careful around the areas in which you covered, right? The last thing we want to do is peel those protective components off, exposing those intricate areas. Now, I could have used a low pH acid on some of these areas as well to go after any metal shavings and maybe oxidation, and that would actually help to clean them up a little bit. But again, I want to do the least aggressive approach. So now that we've agitated the whole surface from different angles, now it's time to rinse. Okay, I'm using a 40-degree tip, which is going to spread out the water pattern across the engine bay. Because again, we don't want to force water where it doesn't belong, but also standing 3 to 4 feet away from the surface too. I'm also going to start from the top and work my way to the bottom again. So now that we've rinsed off the engine bay, what I want to do is make sure that I remove all the microfiber towels and the bags that I use to cover up these areas. Use your microfiber towels to wipe off as much of the standing water as you possibly can, but the preferred method is forced air. You want to get as much of this water off this surface as you possibly can before we go ahead and dress the engine as well. Now that our engine bay is completely clean, and also dry, right? We're going to use a product from Majestic Solutions called Protectant. This is a water-based. And why this is important is because what this is going to do is going to condition the rubber, plastic, and vinyl that's in this engine bay, but also it's going to be dry to the touch as well. So it's not going to draw dirt and debris back to the surface. And also thinking of it this way, right? Most people aren't even going to look at their engine bay, but a clean engine, may or may not, depending upon how you look at it, make your car run a little bit smoother for you. But also, anyone who works on the engine is going to thank you in the long run for it. Very lightly, I'm just going to mist this over all of the surface. Now that we've applied polyprotectant, there's one of two methods that we can do. We can let this sit and soak into the plastic and the rubber and the vinyl, and it'll level out on its own. Or you can take a microfiber towel and just wipe it down and basically rub it into those set areas to just kind of knock it down and create a nice sheen on the surface. So you can use any type of microfiber towel you have. I'm using these ones. And what we're going to do, we're just going to go ahead, we're going to wipe it down. So again, if you get a water-based on paint, it's not going to hurt it. That's the other benefit of using a water-based on engine base. But the biggest benefit is it spreads easy, smells good, but also helps to protect and nourish those surfaces as well. And there you go. We just performed a basic engine bay cleaning from start to finish. And there you have it. I'll see you on the next one.